Welcome to the lovely IHP community and the 5D collective. We have some food for thought, channel guidance for these lovely themes that I have been picking up on. And if you are new, 5D Mystic here in the Enlightenment Soul Age group with a functional inner child adult. And so those of us who are self-agents, we understand and communicate as effectively as can be. We find it an art form that we can excel in because we have integration of the brain and a restorative, embodied, self-aware, accountable, regulating life. And that's what a self-agent with a higher self is. So it's not a special gift of anything. And I bring science and spirituality together because they don't disprove each other. Integrated brains use the entirety of ourselves, and we don't have any wounds that need healing, which reminds me of our lovely Patrick Tiahan. He makes a very nice share today. He always does, but in this case, it's something for those who want to hear it. When we establish a consistent bond with our inner child, we no longer seek a missing parent in others. And so I've never actually sought a missing parent. I don't have a father wound or a mother wound, although people would beg to differ if they hear stories. So when people give you their own personal opinions about your own inner world, you leave it alone. But as a person who's attachment trauma informed, what I can tell you is that those who do not take Patrick Tiahan seriously will actively go around making sense of their toxic relationships, of their out-of-body experiences, and tell you that being dead is easier than being alive. Energy vampires, dark auras, cut off negative cords. They will talk to you about Lucifer, anything and everything, okay? So people who are not integrated with their brain, and therefore they're not in their higher self with a securely attached, non-traumatized body that is able to create emotional resiliency because you have emotional awareness, and that's because you have mental awareness, and that's because you have mindset skills. You sift through the sensations, images, feelings, thoughts with the mindfulness practices that I get to share with you through the inner growth mindset. That is a very straightforward bunch of exercises because the body is yours. You're an empowered feminine and an empowered masculine, and so you don't have tragedy with any of twin flames, soulmates, any of that stuff. And as our Sadhguru shares, a seed that does not sprout is as good as a pebble. For the divine seed, I have some incense on. For the divine seed that you are to flourish, you have to open up. And yes, he shares the seed of enlightenment is within everyone. Like Jesus shares, the kingdom of God is with anyone. And even Hippocrates, he shares the soul is the same for everyone. It's the body that is different. And Bessel van der Kolk also shares about that body. And that body stuff is why we do have a bunch of people who ignore their self, and they're not being their self. The pause self person doesn't know how to understand and communicate effectively. They twist words. And they twist words based on their adaptive child part, who our lovely Terreal tells us who an adaptive child part is. It's a person who has their emotional body disconnected, because otherwise they would like to feel all the feelings and like to talk about all the feelings. So they would have practice with anger, they would have practice with fear, they would have practice with sadness, practice with happiness, disgust, and surprise. And they wouldn't be like, but life is suffering. You can't permanently have love on as, yes you can. I'm enthusiastically in love every day of my life. What are you talking about? So when you're always on, it's because you're anchored in that ventral vagal state, and that's the ventral energy, and that's because securely attached, non-traumatized people, we self-regulate without you, but that's because we learned how to do it. So I can thank my panic attacks. They gave me pretty good practice, and that's where a non-traumatized person with a secure attachment has the capacity to regulate independently of relationships. Thank you, Pat Ogden. That's our 5D collective, who with the ascension energies expand. Okay, so I'm getting to food for thought, channel guidance. Give me a minute. The adaptive child part is a child's version of an adult that developed to protect the wounded child. Again, with Patrick Tiahan, once you have an inner child, no more wounds, father, mother, any of that. Now you're going to stand up for yourself, and you're not looking outside of yourself for a leader. You're your own functional inner child adult, in fact, is what I like to call it. Because your functional adult makes thoughtful decisions, is mature and thoughtful, forgiving, and nuanced. They are based in the present. They understand imperfection and ambiguity, and they make sense of trauma and its impact on relationships. And they don't cast stones. They also don't give people on the the pat on the back. So they're adaptable, unlike the child parts. The functional adults can learn and use new skills. Child parts don't, because half a brain's working, and essentially it's only when they're in structural dissociation. So they're unfinished business, they played out. And that's why they're perfectionistic, harsh, unforgiving. They see the world in black and white. They go rigid with their personality patterns or chaotic. They're unable to learn new skills. Again, that's because of the reactivity that gets ignored, not because they can't learn new skills. They can, but they need to stop being reactive. And they care only about self-preservation in a very self-centered way. And that's where we all are self-centered, but the way that they do it is where they will clearly be, with their subconscious in the lead, blamers, martyrs, and superiors. So you'll notice, and they have low self-esteem, indirect way of communicating, passive aggressive, and the part of whether you say yes or no, like on their back, they might not like that. The adaptive child comes in, I'm right, you're wrong, I got a story for you, my story is the true story, not yours, and that's why they talk over you, and that's why they actually distort things, even memory. So you'll find that people who are paused self have ways that they recount from yesterday in a way that makes them out to be either the superhero or the super victim, and really, or something like that, but they're not in the I'm my own self agent. I take ownership. I know that life is very much full of uncertainties, unwanteds, unexpecteds from within. I have an open heart and I'm going with the flow. That's those main modules of the Inner Growth Mindset program. So adaptive child won't do that. They will be talking about, well, I'm a victim of the circumstances if they're only being asshole men out there. So I have no man and I'm left unattended. And, oh, well, life came and gave me da-da-da. And, well, see. And so the people who speak this way, I've learned to leave it alone, because their unbridled self-expression is not a losing strategy. They are just sharing in a way. And it's the difference with a person who's a self-agent is that they're not going to make their a good guy, bad guy competition kind of deal. It's just going to be, hey, so yeah, this stuff's going on and this is it. And while people think it's the same, you will notice the difference if you're a self-agent. If you're not, then you won't. If you are, it's the tone that gives it away. And it's also the choice of how they're described. It's not a choice. It's how they feel. That's the whole part. So adaptive child, that's why they don't learn new skills, because they have a wound that they're not healing with Patrick Tiahan or Terry Real. Their unfinished business is their subconscious being played out. And I have a good way to share. The facade friend, remember? Yes. So when you have buffoons, my facade friend, I would call him a clown. Like, so you're all clowns, all of you men, huh? And that's where he accepted it, because he did know his immature ways, and we have fun together. But yeah, when I meet adaptive child people, thanks to him, I don't say anything to clowns. They're just an identity that is fixed and rigid and or chaotic. And they're going to have unhealthy boundaries the way Terry Real describes unhealthy boundaries. So when ascension energies come about, their suffering is accentuated, and since they have stories for themselves with groups like Flat Earthers, they will have a group that they will go and they pat each other in the back and then they sing Kumbaya, and you say, wow, hey, what's going on? Oh no, life is really this, and oh wow, I'm so sorry. That's a bummer. But your nervous system doesn't go down with them because you're self-regulating. That's the power of love. Yes, it's the power of your oxytocin gene hormone, which is why a non-traumatized person, again, will not be like, I can't be friends. I lose people as I expand as a mixed stick. Don't you know that's how it works? You don't lose people. You expand, and they don't have to expand with you. Cares only about self-preservation, views intimacy as a threat, and that's actually the part of their subconscious. So unfinished business. They'll play out their first 8 years on a wheel and hold themselves accountable the way they were held. They will not only react to the aggressor, so whatever it is that took place, and this is subconsciously, but they will also identify with the aggressor. So it's a world of, well, people who are people, and in fact, we cannot demand that our partners help us emotionally regulate while projecting our childhood abusers onto them. So people who don't go get healed, traumatized clients often have trouble regulating by themselves, but they also have trouble seeking others and taking in the support and regulation of others. Pat Ogden. The other one was Patrick Tiahan. Okay, so 5D collective, we heal trauma seriously, one person at a time and relationship at a time, because we don't have trauma charges. We process our emotional body because we have a relationship with our entire brain. So there are non-traumatized people out there. We are here together to support those who will go heal, to support each other, and to also be friends with all. So ascension energies, like I was saying, they support us for the 5D collective expands. The 4D is not someone that we are going to be talking about, except for when we want to make fun of the clowns that they are. Okay, so when you hear an adoptive child, you'll know because they express something along the lines of this. And I'm not going to read from who it is or what it is, so I'm just going to leave it out. But these are not my words, but you're going to notice it's an adoptive child because of the way they feel about power and parents in the world. Power can be paralyzing. I track down wisdom and experiences that I can later recount to children in the form of fairy tales. Today, I'm mostly concerned with helping wisdom grow in upcoming generations. The children are unsure of their boundaries and limits. They know that they have power that can exceed that of their parents, so they hold back, unwilling to release this mighty power for fear of overpowering their adult generations. I'm reading while trying to get the words right. Children today feel unsafe unless their parents are more powerful than they are. That's why I work dually alongside parents of the young. I encourage them not to perpetuate a battle of wills with their offspring, but to assume their power for the sake of their children's own awareness and to balance and use their power with love. Okay, so here's where an adoptive child part person has a 0-1-year-old that is attached panicky. They obviously haven't reassured themselves enough to know how to use their own safe haven, secure base modality. So that's where a securely attached person can tell you all about those panic attacks. Boring, yes. Frustrating, no, because I'm an empowered feminine. So the authentic voice of the empowered feminine is, I know what the truth is, which is that 1, all of my cherishable beliefs can be falsifiable. 2, there's no Lucifer in the sky or any energy vampires or dark auras that can affect me, because if we're all energy, thank you, Anima Mundi, what are you talking about, positive or negative energy? You obviously don't know what consciousness energy is. It's neutral. It has no flavor. It has none of that. And so when I say in that chapter that I get to write in the book, The Ways to God, where I'm a co-author, God is discerning equanimous love. It's because God, like intelligence, like consciousness, wise, good judgment, calm and centered, loving. Loving doesn't mean I pat you on the back. Loving means I keep you balanced and safe. Loving means that I will make sure that as you grow up, you know how to be mentally, emotionally, and physically safe on your own, because I won't always be able to be there. I'm an empowered feminine, not a distorted one. I won't make you cling to me in a way where you won't be independent. I will do my best to make sure you are a self-sufficient mental, emotional, physical human being. And when someone makes fun of me in college, meaning, oh, you live still with your mother, I think nothing of it, because I think, wow, you drive drunk? What the hell? You're not supposed to. You know that, right? No, I don't drink that much. You just told me that you have keys and you drink. I don't understand. So when somebody thinks that they are a bigger shot because they got keys of a car, they drive, they work, but then they're doing something called not safe, I think I'm a lot more smart than you are in this moment. And this is the part of where you don't have to be extreme either. People who don't drink at all, I do understand how our bodies age. So please, of course, we want moderation. But the comedians are those who are masks, and those identities are for people who, again, let me grab the cards that I had prepared. Just bear with me for a minute, because I have a lot of papers going on. So those who are their lovers are in the functional child-adult arena. I know how to regulate my nervous system. I know that thinking and feeling is going to get easier if I know how to regulate my nervous system. And if I don't, then I want to look into it because it's not true, no pain, no gain. It's most pain has no gain. And if your default mode network doesn't become down-regulated, you're going to continue scanning yourself and others and be stressed out when you're around people. That's because, because your authentic voice isn't coming through. I put on some incense and it's fucking with my throat right now. So the siren, The siren is amazingly making its way through right now. No, it's not. But that is definitely the way someone could taint it. Ooh, is something going on? Let's not make it into a big deal, shall we? Oh, people are their own sirens when they talk shit in their head about anything that can be a random coincidence. And do we believe in synchronicities? Yes, those of us who are mystics do, but we also are grounded in reality again with the integrated brain. So any of my cherishable beliefs could be falsifiable. That's why I'm not wearing a mask. I actually have a sense of humor. I just don't get gotten by everyone, and I'm still the same serious person. Because I will not unsee my child parts, okay? So those who have stayed unseen with child wounds, they will speak in a way that is of a siren, but they might think they're a lover, and I won't be bothering telling them what they are because it's none of my business. They don't want to go to Terry Real. They don't want to go to Patrick Tian. They actually don't get out of that cave that I read about in Plato, Socrates. Yeah, that cave is where they're making up stuff. They're really just looking at a wall. So they don't bridge the gap of that which could have become something bigger, meaning their mind and body together. They decide to stay in the temple of that underworld, whatever their stories are, that will lead to the dark sides of neuroplasticity. So the stories of those who are addicted to a up and down roller coaster are orphaned parts. They're not looking for a mentor because they're not looking for a therapist. They're looking for a group to go to belong to, like the flat earthers, to then continue to have fun. And they tell you about how torturous it is to become a butterfly, accentuating that which is, you can't enlighten if you don't suffer. I don't suffer. You can't enlighten if you don't know how to be. I know how to be a bee and how to be and do, and that's why I don't sit under a tree, because that's what happens when you're an empowered feminine. God gave you 2 hands, 2 feet, and there you go. You walk a walk and talk a talk, but it's also because I have an empowered masculine, so I know how to use my brain and be that star-born child. We are all special equally, which is why I'm cool with the trophies, because every child deserves to feel good. But I will tell you if you did not excel in the game, and I will be able to tell it to you in a way that won't make you feel ashamed and defective. It will be in a way that tells you with love, my ventral vagal state. And so ideal parenting styles are a third of attunement and repairing ruptures. It's not you never say no. People who don't get the thorough information of what neuroscience, neurobiology, mental health are talking about make up shit from their assholes because they don't believe in the window of tolerance, the window of welcome, the child parts and the wounds. And that's why I'm with you, Patrick Tian. We don't need to forgive anyone. I forgive. I don't have an inner child that was wounded. But I understand when he tells his community, you don't have to forgive anyone, because I'd be pretty pissed if I found out that all my unkind business and all my torture chamber shit and all that basically was avoidable. Because if only I had had a healthy, self-regulating human being, and more than just one, but at least one, to be consistently, contingently communicating to me so that I could grow up to feel safe in this world, which is still an unsafe place, that I will be one day without that primary caregiver, and that I will be able to, thanks to being a securely attached, non-traumatized person, right here, mystic, spiritual, mindful, self-agent people, we understand and communicate as best we can be, which is why it's an art form we excel in, because we won't shame anyone. That's not how it works. I ain't God. I ain't source. I'm Maria. And so even as a channeler, I try to help you understand what those who are comedians to me and buffoons, and they don't do what our ancestors did, because I know what our ancestors did, because I was raised with Catholicism and Christianity. And it wasn't that they were making us scared. Prophecy, speak forth mind and heart of God. The ones who still speak the medieval times, they're not the mind and heart of God. They're the medieval times. I mean, really, reading a book from yesterday, it's like reading Shakespeare. I needed to translate it in my college years because none of us understood what it was talking about. And so again, them continuing to limit but they're there for the people who don't have access to something like this, education and discernment in their own brains. So the prophecy to speak forth mind and heart of God, encourage, comfort, challenge, or strengthen. There isn't optimism or pessimism for those of us of spirit and source. Scientists look into the asteroid. Please don't hit us, asteroid. Anybody who's telling me to look at something with optimism or pessimism is an idiot to me, because they obviously don't know how words affect genes and the physiology. So they don't know neuroscience. But at the same time, it's okay. We're a village, so we get to all talk about different things. And I get to present to you intelligence, source, God is not going to be creating fear-mongering, punishing things in the way that we get told these stories that are from yesterday's news. And then they claim that they are prophets and prophetically whatever, and they again dress themselves up. The adaptive child needs to have meaning, and that is why they make themselves out to be bigger than what they really are. But the way they're doing it and going about it, because we're having earthquakes, it's either conspiracies or it's the demons from the sky. And I'm like, you do realize that we are on a planet that has the whole, geo whatever it was called when it first began, like tectonic plates. Anyone know how unless you don't believe in any science, which then, okay, I'm grounded in reality. Please go somewhere else. So I know tectonic plates. I'm not surprised that, earthquakes are happening. Does it mean I know for a fact that no, I don't, but I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. I'm just saying I'm going to follow the scientists who know about how Earth works. I'm not going to follow Wendy. I'm going to follow data. And if that's me being a buffoon, sure. Conspiracy, devils, demons, stories, sure, I'm the idiot. Of course I am. No, I'm not. Okay, you're not a mystic because you're telling me about the ocean of tomorrow. I actually can learn about the ocean in many ways. And I'm not going to, again, discredit, but I'm saying that encourage, comfort, challenge, strengthen, prophecy. Prophets are the same as gurus, by the way, and they are here to help you to grow and expand in different ways. They come from different heritages, but again, it doesn't matter to those of us of spirit. Mystics in the 5D collective aren't divisive when it comes to how we use words. We bring it all in because we know anima mundi, again, the empowered feminines, not the ones who are not empowered. The ones who are empowered feminines are functional child adults. We don't own words, so we have shared consciousness. We're not competing. There's no need to compete. The only ones who compete are the same individuals who are like mean girls, and their siren is torturing their own inner world, not mine. They are the ones who are insecure about themselves, so much so that, it's Luciferian era. We need to prove spirituality. Look, they're taking over. Our human species is going to become technology. It's okay, really? So when an enlightened one gets asked, excuse me, so what do you think about AI? And this is that lovely Shaolin master. Do you think it's going to be bad, good? And I love enlightened ones because they know what I know too. God is discerning equanimous love. Consciousness is intelligence. Spirit, source is all one and the same. Dark matter, dark energy, please don't implode. He shares, I know I'll be misunderstood, which is not true. I didn't misunderstand him. I understood completely what he said. And so did another smart human being I shared it with. And so do any smart human beings because it's common sense. There isn't going to be a good or bad outcome because intelligence consistently expands to become more of itself. Intelligence. Consciousness split it into two so it could experience itself. Love and fear are brothers and sisters. You don't understand. There ain't no fallen angel. If you choose to stay as a siren, you're going to be that which is, again, a buffoon to somebody who is a functional child adult. I'm not going to scold you because your trauma time is unfinished business that you can take care of with Terry Real. Become a fierce lover with Patrick Tian. Become an inner child that has no longer a father-mother wound and can walk the streets as a lover versus what is going to be an orphan that has a mask that is playing a life with the siren because inside they're withering away. They're not going to affect me. Emotions aren't contagious. There's nervous system and nervous system. I am a non-traumatized, securely attached person because I self-regulate in my ventral vagal state without you. That's what grown-ups can do. Children learn it from their parents and their household. And if they don't, then they go to therapy and they learn it. And they get earned secure attachment. So all of people who want the seed of enlightenment, the kingdom of God, to be good here, to no longer long and have this suffering thing, they can get actively securely attached 0 1 year old is solvable. So they don't need anyone. As for mentorship, it supports people who want to do more with being their self-help, personal development, spiritual growth. You don't have spirit if you don't know how to be connected to that which is pure laughter, because the ventral energy is not going to describe anything from a torturous, where is my butterfly? I got this description once of this butterfly, and this is a human being who must have had that experience for themselves. As they're describing it, I'm like, wow, I'm sorry for your body. I didn't go through any of this shit. I mean, I cried, yeah, but that's normal. I'm a woman, don't you know? Don't you know about it? And so when people cry, the neuropeptides get released, the trauma charges. It's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. When you're not, if you're crying and you're smiling, it's all good if you're not ruminating. If instead you're in the laundry that the Zen master does, then no. But again, prophecy to encourage, comfort, challenge, or strengthen. So I don't need to be optimistic or pessimistic because I'm not in the research lab. The geologists who are smart, and those who are in academia, and those who have peer groups, and those who care about what they do, and there are plenty of experts who do, they're continuing to work together. I just recently heard good news for the area that I'm in when I'm here, the Phlegrain Fields, with people who are researchers versus the shitty news that people hear. Let me sensationalize and make you think that the world is crumbling down. And they even get upset at being called fear-mongering people. They are fear-mongering because you're not the expert. The way you're coming across it, the titles you're using, you are actively fear-mongering because you're using something. There's another person, they're doing it with the Schumann stuff, and they are within the mystic community. So one's a geologist or some shit like that, but she definitely doesn't know what she's talking about, and she enjoys bringing it that way. Other is doing the here, and sensationalizing it that way, and they will use different words, and I'm thinking, okay then, and I talk about it so that you can understand. Sifting through your own sensations, images, feelings, and thoughts when you see people like this is good. Knowing they're bullshitters because they're, again, comedians. I mean, I can be a comedian too. It's why I'm a woo pseudoscience, meaning I know where I come from, what I bring to you, and I know what I'm here for. I'm here for the people who want, if they want one-to-one mentorship, self-help, if they want to hear about infinite higher human conscious potential experience, right here. You don't have to believe in mystics. I didn't ask you to believe in me. In fact, when people are like, oh, your dreams are just dreams. No, they're not, but it's okay. I'm cool with you believing whatever the fuck you want because I ain't telling you what to believe in. I'm grounded in reality. So a person who is intelligent does not argue with those who lack the intelligence to notice that their adaptive child part just came out of the woodwork, and their buffoonery is simply put like my facade friend who's talking over me while I'm talking to him. And that's the part of why I find it not hard to believe. Poor unfortunate souls, so sad but true that they wither away inside themselves and they could get healing. So while others think that there's suffering to gain access to spirit, no, many paths to being connected with oneness. And mine luckily comes with that of a lover. And so I have no orphaned parts, which is why I'm lucky. Maria's eternal child didn't break because she got lucky. Does that make everybody feel better? As you gotta bet, when anybody's like, you can't be happy all the time, what I'm thinking is, wow, I guess you don't want me to be happy. That's actually quite not nice. But, I guess you're miserable inside. So if I point it out, then you're gonna think I'm mean, and actually I'm being mean. And sometimes I'll point out things to people that say, it's hard to decide what to do in life. No, actually, I knew what I wanted to do in life since I was 8, and I did follow my heart. And when people said, you're not doing what you wanted to do, no, I'm doing it. I know what I'm doing. You don't know what I wanted to do because you're not my heart, but I get it. You're lost in that which is called the external world. So when people think that the word of the job that you're going to do is how you're going to do what you're going to do, this is why I'm an empowered feminine. I'm a feeling first person. I didn't have any questions about what my heart said. I consistently followed it. My 8-year-old said, I want to help people when I grow up. What do you want to help them to be? Happy. And I went down a number of paths, even though from the recount of my 13-year-old, I wanted to be a lawyer so I could make money. And I don't remember feeling that way. That's why those people that say we change, I say, no, I was given words by grown-ups. Those were not my words, and I was a child. Do you expect me as a child to not use words that are given to me? So you're going to say that I changed because I grew into a person who can think and notice that doesn't match what I remember as my explicit feeling of why I want to help people. And that's why they say that we change our stories when we look to the past. And I say, what? You must be a self that is not a verb. You don't know how it works to consistently be open to change. I do. Thanks, Dr. Daniel Siegel. So when your default mode network is down-regulated, it's because you don't care about getting an approval of anything, and your heart always leads because, I got lucky. Again, I got a twin. She's my superpower. I don't feel alone. Are you lonesome tonight? I can never be alone. My twin is consistently with me in implicit memory, and that is a truth. I'm not kidding. So science explains why Maria got lucky, and I can explain to you how you can get lucky too, though. And it is by you choosing, if you want, to, again, be your self-agent first. And then once you can love the world that is full of uncertainty and full of fear, again, for me, I have God, and I will not have no God in my life. And so I know that I have faith that when he tells me I'm physically safe, that it's true. And I'm not kidding, but I can be grounded in reality and say, would you say that it's a fact? That you're asking me to be a liar. You're asking me, I'm a very literal person. You're asking me to lie to you. So any one of my cherishable beliefs could be falsifiable. Would you stop giving me the runaround ascension energies? They expand all of those who want to be expanded, and then those who instead are fearful. They will either follow the fake prophet people, guru people, and they're not fake, again, they're comedians because they all disregard going to Patrick Tian, and they're going to Boca Raton, they're making sense of their toxic relationships, they're continuing to patch shit up, and they're pretending they're not a lover. They don't have the authentic, empowered, feminine voice, which is why they will speak with themselves and about people in ways that are not nice. And that's because inside there's a saying in Italian, ti rode il fegato, means it eats your liver away. And that is what happens when you have self-loathing, gut wrench, envy, jealousy, spite, shame, blame, fault, revenge. When people don't heal their inner wounds and they see people thriving, they are actively it's a sad story. It's a sad story. So luckily, though, they have people that the shamans for the unseen, that they can go to, hang out with, have fun, and with the same energy, they will be basically that which I'm not going to call anything except for my brothers and sisters of fear who this lifetime won't be accessing their eternal child the way that some of us know. They'll be accessing the groups that they get to join, like the Flat Earthers, and they get to have fun together. And that's, as long as they continue to believe that stuff. And so the riddle of life is a beautiful one. And the vow, we're going to look at these maybe later, because these are also part of the messages with the medallion. And that would be where, if you are a person who is self-agent, you know that you create your destiny. And so you don't give any of that, which are people, books, items. And here's where, when we think of monotheistic and the whole, there's only one God, and people will say, oh, they have crosses, they have that. But this is where I'm going to say it's from here that you, as a self-agent, as a pure piece of source, when you are able to be in that moment, nothingness has power over me. It is not about being ignorant and ignoring science. It is that you have a feeling of ease. That's the eustress that Dr. Daniel Siegel talks about, is why people who say it's ridiculous to have faith, I feel bad for my brothers and sisters who don't have it. They have no sense of ease, because again, I will not ignore. I come with spirit, I come with faith, I come with source. I'm not of science, so it's not logical But I know that in here, even though it sounds like a ridiculous thing, it's a fairy tale. It's not a fairy tale. And to those of us who have that relationship with the heart and mind of God in the purest of ways I share with you, there's no fear-mongering ever voiced. Discerning, equanimous love, because again, courage, strength, support, and not to mention, even if you want to equate it to brain stuff like the Determined with Robert Sapolsky, a parent is going to make sure that I can feel safe without them in the mean fucking world that is full of shitty people who are ruining our air and our water and our food, and they continue to do all the bullshit that we get to see every day. And then they get to keep using YouTube with messages that make my brain just freaking laugh. And I'm not angry. I know people say, no, what the heck? What is wrong with you? And then it's nothing's wrong with them, Maria. They are adaptive child part people. They're looking for their mission. They're doing it. So again, we'll be back. This one also will be something we'll talk about. And thank you for your time. I hope you have a good day. And like, share, and subscribe. It'll help the channel grow. And again, we'll be back later.